Thanks for tuning in to another video, everyone. Today we're going to be tying a simple Eurostone fly pattern, and this is what it's going to end up looking like. Very little materials, very effective pattern. I've used this on rainbow and steelhead specifically, which they seem to love. So to get started, we're going to be putting a fresh hook in the vise. Put my bead on already. And for this pattern, I'm going to be using the Tungsten Barbless jig hook, and this is going to be in a size 12. And for the bead, I want a little bit larger, intentionally, just to give it some extra weight. And I went with the Tungsten slotted premium beans in color gold, and this is the 3.8 millimeter. For my thread, I'm just going to be using a olive 70 denier by UTC, and I'm going to start my thread right behind the bead here. And just to help keep that bead from slipping around and moving, I'm going to put that into position. And just by holding it up with my fingers, I'm going to build up a little bit of a thread dam, and that should keep it from moving around on you. I'm going to bring my thread just before the bend of the hook, and we're going to be tying on some tails. For these, I've chosen the Sili legs chrome nymph barred in green and pumpkin, and this specific one is by Wapsi. I've cut them into a little bit smaller pieces to make this a bit easier. And then all I'm really doing here, I know you can't see it on camera, apologies for that, but I basically just bent it in half. And then I'm just going to tie on with one or two just loose wraps, just to sort of get my measurements, get my tails in position. And then once they are, I'll hold them firmly and put in some tight securing wraps. And once those are in, you can cut off the ends or tie them in. Now for the ribbing, I'm just using a small gold wire. And I'm just going to tie that on to the side of the fly facing me. Yeah, that looks good there. Now I'm ready for my body. I'm a fan of the Ice Dub, specifically for more so for the resident rainbows. So I'm just going to pick a sort of a darker color here, and I'm going to be using the Peacock Black. This is a Trout Ice Dub dispenser by Hairline, which I'm a big fan of. Don't need too much, just a pinch to get started. If you wanted to do a dubbing loop or split the thread and get it in there, you can do that as well. I don't find it's completely necessary for this pattern. I just like to keep it tight and then with a slight taper. Let's get a smidgen more here. Go. Now I'm going to counter wrap the gold ribbing. And by keeping my thread tension tight, I can helicopter that out. I'm just going to bring my thread a little bit back. Now I'm ready for the legs. So it's going to be 2 sets of legs. And I'm using the same Sili legs as the tail. So I'm just going to get that into position there. Maybe give it a securing wrap in there. And then I'm going to put one on the other side here. Again, I'm not too worried about positioning yet. That's why I kind of just do looser wraps to get them into position. And then what I want to try to avoid is this, where they're too close together. I do want them splayed out a bit, but to achieve that, I'm actually going to just use some more dubbing, and I'm going to go with a peacock now, so it's a little bit less black, just to give it some different colors and shimmer. So I'm just going to put a wrap right in between the legs, and then I like to come in just with one wrap behind the rear legs. Make sure those get splayed back again. And now is where I'm going to actually focus on keeping these legs separated. So that's not bad. That's kind of what I was after there, is that they're a little bit more separated now and facing different directions. I'm just going to put a smidgen more because I want to have at least one wrap of the peacock dub in front of the fly too. Just going to put one in front here. Bring those front legs back, just get a tie in on the front there. Can get a little tricky. And once that's all in place, we're pretty much done and ready for a whip finish. Don't forget to seat your knot. Cut your thread. Now we're ready to trim trim the legs. Lots of ways to trim legs. I always like kind of like a starting point. So I'll actually bring all the legs back and kind of align them with the tail. And then from here, I'll just visually look at it and see if they're too long, if I want them shorter. I actually don't mind them a little long. Just gives it a little bit more movement in the water. But there you have it. This is a Euro stone. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you give it a try, and best of luck in the water. Cheers.